I, 30 female, was in a car crash. I had to be cut out of the car. I wasn't seriously injured though, thankfully, but the other person unfortunately wasn't doing too well from what I saw before I was taken away to the hospital. I was told to stay in the hospital overnight to see if I suffered a concussion. I rang my husband and told him what happened. My mother-in-law got the two incidents mixed up when my husband dropped off our daughters, a young grammar schooler and a tween, at her house while he rushed to see me. She believed I wasn't going to make it. The following day, my husband brought our daughters to get me while I waited to be discharged. Upon seeing me, my youngest busted into tears and said, "I don't want you to die." I comforted her and said I'm not dying and I was very lucky. She then said Granny said she hoped I'd die so that my husband and the kids could come live with her. My husband and I were shocked and my older daughter confirmed she heard her say that. My husband said he was going to ring my mother-in-law. When he came back into the room, he looked furious. He didn't say anything until after we got home and he said mother-in-law denied it, but after he kept pushing, she admitted it but said she didn't mean it. I thought me and her were close, but I guess not. I'm incredibly hurt she would want that and said I wanted me and the girls to go no contact with my mother-in-law. I told him he could have a relationship with her, but I didn't want me and the girls to have one with her. My husband said he supports me. He then rang my mother-in-law and told her what I said. She didn't take it too well. She came to our house crying and said it was a misunderstanding, she didn't mean it and that we were taking it wrong. My husband asked, "What did you mean then?" She just got hysterical and started crying and saying she always wanted daughters, but my husband was the only child due to her not being able to have any more after him. The girls are more like her daughters than granddaughters, and she wasn't thinking properly when she said that to our youngest. She got so worked up that my husband had to take her home. When he got back, he said he didn't know she felt like that and asked if I still wanted to cut her off. I said yes. He said okay and didn't argue. But it's been a week now and he's still very quiet and hasn't said much about what happened, and now I'm starting to feel guilty and wondering if I did take it the wrong way. Am I the idiot for cutting my mother-in-law off because she told my daughter she hoped I died when I was taken to hospital? Not the idiot. Why would you feel guilty? She wished you dead out loud to your child so she could have a daughter. That's so beyond messed up. Hopefully your husband realizes how absolutely messed up that is and cuts her off too. She's only sorry because she got caught. Do not allow her to be near you or to alienate your children. She's already shown you she cannot be trusted. My mother-in-law got the two incidents mixed up. Yeah, sure. Your daughter needed assurance and positivity, not what that disgusting harridan said. Mother-in-law did mean it. You don't blurt something like that out of misunderstanding or as a joke. That whole hysterical outburst she put on in front of you, that was BS. Manipulative BS, because she got caught. And it seems to have worked on your husband because she's trained or brainwashed him that way. Stand your ground. She needs, at the very least, a good long time out. Do not let your husband or anyone sweep this under the rug, because doing that would make everyone think it's perfectly okay for mother-in-law to hope you died and for your daughters to lose their mom. That's sickening. I'd make that time out at least 6 months. Heck, make it for the rest of this year, so she loses out on the big holidays at the very least. What a vile damn cow. He's probably also struggling himself. His mother admitted he wasn't good enough because she wanted daughters. He needs time to process the awful crap his mother said about him. Traumatizing the kids like she did was bad enough, but then to say she always wanted daughters, so her one son wasn't enough? I grew up knowing my deadbeat father didn't want me because I was a girl. Still, I can't imagine being raised by what I thought was a loving parent to be told the same thing later on. Update. Am I the idiot for cutting my mother-in-law off because of what she told my daughter? Well, you guys were right. I decided to talk to my husband and ask if he was upset that I decided that the girls and I had no contact with my mother-in-law. He said he wasn't. He said he always knew his mother-in-law wanted a daughter instead of him, and it brought back all the bad memories of rejection and hurt he felt growing up as a kid. I suggested therapy and he's willing to go. We're also going to get therapy for our youngest, as she now gets very anxious if I'm not within sight. My husband agreed that going no contact with mother-in-law is best for our family. Our daughter's birthday is coming up, and we have yet to tell mother-in-law she's no longer invited. Not looking forward to that, but that's the update. Thanks everyone for the lovely comments and support. I appreciate it. We have yet to tell mother-in-law she is no longer invited. Don't tell her. No contact means you simply don't give her any details. She's literally not receiving an invitation. If she knows them, change the plans. Don't let her re-traumatize your kids by showing up and making a scene. And also, ensure the schools know not to let her near your girls. She wanted you dead, so treat her as if you are. I feel so sorry for your hubby too. Just awful for the whole family. Wise choice, OP. Suggestion: take your daughter out of town for her birthday to a nearby attraction, zoo, play, or something special instead of a party, or a party on a later date with her little friends instead of family. If you're not there, mother-in-law can throw all the witch fit she wants, and nobody will be there to see her, so there's no party for her to ruin. This is absolutely the way. I hope OP sees this. Also, don't tell any of his family. Have them meet you at a lot somewhere, then go from there. OP, please don't be surprised to learn your mother-in-law will fight for visitation. As you said in your previous story, she always wanted a daughter, and you have two whom she'll no longer get to see. Please be ready. I don't know if I'm being over-dramatic, but here is some context. My wife asked me to fix our sink since it was leaking. I agreed, got my tools, and started working on the thing. Midway, I overheard my wife call her dad and ask him if I was doing it right and if he could come over and check to make sure I didn't mess it up. I called her over and asked her to clarify. She dismissed it, saying that as her dad was an engineer, he could just check over my work. I told her I didn't like that and that I could fix something as simple as a sink. Again, she dismissed it. I told her to call her dad and tell him he was not needed, and she said no. I told her again, and she said no again, and this conversation ended. I felt emasculated. Here is where I may be wrong. I told her since her dad was coming to check, he could fix the entire thing since I was pretty hungry. I got up, she asked where I was going, and I told her to my parents' house to eat since my mom cooked better. I ignored her screaming at me, drove to my parents' house, and closed my phone when I got there. After dinner, I told them what happened. My dad supported my decision, saying I was just showing her how I felt. My mom, on the other hand, said I took it too far. So, am I the idiot? We haven't spoken since I got back home, but I'll apologize if I'm wrong. She dismissed it, saying that as her dad was an engineer, he would just check over my work. Well, there are no plumbing courses in engineering. Source: I'm an engineer. There are no engineering courses in plumbing either. I think they are different things. Not the idiot. I hope this is true because the "I'm going to eat at my parents' because my mom cooks better" response is hilarious and perfect. On a serious point, I'd be irritated too. She not only doesn't trust you to do things correctly, but she also humiliates you in front of her father. OP's marriage sounds horrible. It is a sink, not a rocket. She should have kept her doubts to herself. In the worst case, they would have had to call a plumber. Now he knows what she thinks of him. I will say emasculate isn't the term here, it's infantilized. How cute that you're trying, darling, but let's just get Daddy to check. My husband was initially worried when I took on a project like this. I didn't feel defeminized, just intensely annoyed. Now he asked me to fix things. What gets me also is the fact she asked him to fix the sink. Why even ask if she doesn't believe he can do it? Seems so strange, but I think OP handled it well considering. What reaction did she expect? When she's impatient, rude and dismissive to you, what could she reasonably expect to receive as a response? I loved your answer. Next time she starts to cook dinner, call your mom within earshot of your wife and ask your mom to come over to check that your wife is cooking the dinner the right way. See how she likes that. It doesn't matter if you are the husband or the wife. If your spouse calls their parent to check your work, it's insulting. I, 30 female, quit my stressful white-collar job 5 years ago and became self-employed. The thing is, my self-employment is as an exotic dancer. I make my own schedule, make great money, and 90% of the time I really enjoy my job. About 3 weeks into the job, I ran into a family member's significant other. Let's call him Bob and my family member Beth. Bob was just as surprised to see me as I was him. Bob and I both agreed to not say anything to anyone. Also, when you're hired at this club, we sign a confidentiality agreement to not speak about patrons seen in the club. I also want to mention we never touched or did a lap dance, but he saw me naked considering the occupation. Fast forward 4 years later, Bob and Beth are now getting married. And of course it spilled out I'm an exotic dancer and he came to my club 4 years ago. Still trying to figure out how everything came out. Anyway, now I'm the only family member excluded from the wedding. Mom, Dad and siblings were invited. Every family member attended the wedding without issue except for my mom and dad, who decided not to attend because I was excluded. I asked them to attend regardless, considering I'm not a huge fan of weddings. Now, after the fact, I'm bothered by it. Not by the lack of invitation, but what seems like the complete agreement from my entire family that I deserve to be excluded, other than my parents and siblings who still attended. It's as if everyone thought, well, she's an exotic dancer, and the future husband saw her naked once, she's not invited. And everyone agreed 100%. I haven't seen my extended family since the wedding was this summer. When I said I wasn't attending Christmas with them, there was concern about my not being present and how I was so missed. So, am I the idiot? Not the idiot, and I disagree with anyone saying it's reasonable that she didn't invite you to the wedding. It's not reasonable because you're an exotic dancer, and it's not reasonable because of Bob's involvement. If she's that uncomfortable with the Bob situation, then she shouldn't be marrying him. She'd be blaming you for Bob's issues. What, did the bride think you were going to peel it off on the dance floor at the reception? Strange how you get the cold shoulder for your work, however he doesn't for being a customer. Double standards at play here. An invite would have been nice, but what's nicer is your parents standing up for you. By the way, I know that a good exotic dancer can make real bank. I knew one once who worked as an insurance adjuster by day and put all of her club money into IRAs and other investment vehicles. I'm willing to bet she retired with a really good nest egg. Are you really surprised that someone who probably thought her precious boyfriend didn't go to places like these clubs not only discovered that he actually did go while they were dating, and on top of that they both know one of the dancers, didn't want said dancer at the wedding? They probably had a major fight over it when she found out, and it's not that big of a stretch to say they didn't want a reminder at their wedding. I'm guessing clubs were off limits to begin with, and once it became family gossip, they definitely didn't want it to be the primary thought on all minds. Joke's on them though. I'm guessing OP's profession is far more of a topic of conversation than their actual wedding. LOL. My female nearly adult dad got a once-in-a-lifetime job in another country. My mom died 4 years ago, so my options were to go with him or stay with my half-sister, 30, about half an hour away. I didn't want to leave during my senior year, so I'm staying with her. First, her house has 2 bedrooms and she has 3 kids, a toddler, a preschooler and a kindergartner, so I have to share a room with her and the toddler. The rooms in her house are a little small, so it's so cramped. She got me a loft bed because that's the only way she could fit a bed and dresser in the room for me. She also treats me like a kid's nanny. She works from home, but it's my job to pick up her kids from daycare, literally 4 blocks from her house. She could do it herself, and she expects me to watch them until she's done. I don't get paid for this. My dad pays her to take care of me. I've complained about it before, but she says I need to contribute if I want to live here, and my dad won't rent me my own place, so I'm kind of stuck here. I was trying to talk to my friend the other day, and her toddler was crying, and her other 2 were complaining that they were hungry and bored. I sent them all to their mom, and she brought them back to me and told me to change the baby's diaper, make a snack, and either take them to the playground across the street or play with them. I told her if she could get up to tell me what to do, she could make the snack and change the diaper, but she just handed the baby to me and walked away. When she was done, she came out and saw that they were watching Frozen, and she yelled at me for not doing what she said. I told her I'm not her kid's nanny and she needs to take care of her own kids, but she said if I don't help out, she'll call my dad and say this isn't working and I need to go. Am I the idiot for telling my sister to take care of her own kids? Edit, I can't move in with a friend's family. My dad doesn't want me to and has already told me he'll cut me off if I move out before college. The kid's father is in the military. He was deployed a couple of months before I moved in. My dad's paying for my college and getting me a house. If I do move out, I lose my car, credit card, college account, etc. Not the idiot, OP, but sigh, the only other option left for you is to move where your father is now residing. Your sister is already telling you that if you don't help her with childcare, then you have to go. I understand that you're upset and you definitely have the right to be, but you have no other options. Dad can step in and say free labour is not part of the deal. You can't just force free labour out of a kid when they're stuck living with you due to circumstances outside their control. However, it sounds like OP is relying on Dad for college money. If she moves out, she's on her own financially. Dad is in another country. What's he going to do? Call the cops if OP decides to move out to stay at a friend's for the rest of the school year. Try to put OP on a plane. I tell the sister to keep the rent money, stay mum about OP moving out, and find a friend to bunk with in exchange for chores. I bet childcare was part of the agreement. Whether it was adequately presented to OP or if she fully understands it is likely the bigger variable. But OP says Dad is only giving older sister a few $100s a month, essentially groceries and utilities, and older sister has to share her bedroom and have an extra body in her 2-bedroom that she also uses for work from home. Meanwhile, OP has a car and car insurance, a credit card, a future house, and a college fund from Dad. I'm betting the older sister only agreed to this living arrangement if it came with childcare help. My male 31 wife 30 has a friend, we'll call her Dana, female 34. They've been friends for a little more than 10 years, and it's important to note that the only friend Dana has is my wife. For the sake of the post, I'll call her Laura. Dana has always had difficulties making and keeping friends. This is because she's a classical one-upper. If you tell her about a vacation you enjoyed, she'll tell you it's nothing compared to her last vacation. You're going through a bad time? Well, it's nothing compared to what she's going through and stuff like that. Since her only friend is Laura, I got to hang out with her a lot. I don't like her and don't consider her a friend, but I am civil to her. Laura has tried to integrate Dana into another group of our friends for a few years now, but it's not going well. The breaking point was one night when we were drinking and a friend opened up about losing a beloved pet. Dana responded by saying it was nothing compared to when she lost a blouse her mother had given her last year. After that, some people wouldn't hang out as she was coming. Now, to the issue. We're planning a week-long camping trip with 2 more friends and their spouses. Of these friends, only one has met Dana. Laura thinks this might be a good chance for Dana to meet new people, so she suggested we invite her. I was obviously against it. I get tired just imagining a week with her, and I told her so. She knows I'm not a fan of hers, but is hoping I will help her improve her social skills. But our vacation should not be her opportunity. We fought a little and didn't solve anything. Here's why I think I could be an idiot. I continued planning the trip, and every time Laura told me to invite Dana, I would just tell her I'd do it once all was set up. I had no intention of doing so. Anyway, the trip is a few weeks away, and last Saturday the cat was out of the bag about me not wanting Dana to come. Laura argues that being annoying is no reason to exclude her, and if she needs to improve her social skills, we should be helping her. I obviously disagree, but I've never seen Laura this angry, so I'm doubting myself. So, am I the idiot? Not the idiot. There's one-upmanship, and then there's being completely tone deaf. Jesus, time for your wife to give up trying to force this woman on people. Why ruin 4 people's week for one person who sees it as a week-long competition? Ask your wife why she's pushing so hard. It makes no sense. Is this one person really so much more important than the rest of the people, including you, having a good time? Does your wife find her funny or a project to work on? Does your wife honestly think that having Dana fifth-wheeling on vacation with other couples is a kind and empathetic thing to do? Your wife has no right to insist on other people suffering from Dana's behavior or participate in improving her social skills. What a lot of nonsense. However, please grow a spine and tell your wife Dana is not invited. You can't help someone who is self-absorbed and tone-deaf to become socially aware. You're completely wasting your time, OP. While I understand why you did what you did, you didn't need to do that. You should have made it clear to your wife that you're not spending a week with this woman, period. I don't think I can spend a day with someone like her, let alone a week.